Hello, botanists. Today I'm going to go over the amoeba sisters on angiosperms with you and add, my 2 cents and what I think is important, as well as show you how to use Cami as a PDF writer and then hopefully get that to go into Google Classroom. So here we go. I'm going to start in Google Classroom with my assignment. I'm going to read the directions. Fill this out digitally if you can. Please, 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 please hear this from my mouth. If you need to print it and fill it out, that is fine. If you need to open up a Word document and fill it out, that is fine. Using the document writers is going to vary based on your computer, your internet connection, Mac, PC. There's so many variables here. So I'm just trying to introduce some helpful web tools that hopefully, I'm sure your students are going to see when they start taking online classes in high school and college. So why not give them a whirl here? So here we go. I'm going to open up this angiosperm flowering plants PDF, and I'm going to actually print it. But it's like a fake print. I'm actually, when it says destination, I'm not going to choose a printer. I'm going to choose save as PDF. You also have the option to save to Google Drive if you would like, but it's still going to save as a PDF. So here I'm going to save as a PDF, and I actually hit save, and I'm going to call it this, the B. Scott angiosperms. So the reason I'm calling it B. Scott is so that my name is on this, and so if I do turn it in, when I turn it in, it's got my name attached to it, so I'm sure to get credit from my teachers. So okay. So now I'm going to actually go into Cami, and Cami is just an app. I think you can have it on a Mac as well. And I can choose where my PDF is. And right now it's on my computer because I just downloaded it or saved it as a PDF. So I'm going to go find it. If you have trouble finding things, save them to your desktop. It makes them really easy to find. So mine is right here, B. Scott angiosperms. And it's going to pull this up. All right. So Cami over here, you've got a text box. That's going to be the easiest way probably to write on this document. I can change my font size. 12 and 14 are probably the ones to stick with. If you go much smaller, it's harder to read. And then you can change your color, and then you've got this whole color palette that you can go to. You can also draw if you wanted to handwrite or draw or circle something. You can click the drawing tool again. You can pick the thickness, and if it's transparency, so if you want it to be more of a highlighter so that you can still see what's underneath it. And then again, your colors. We can also add shapes, and we can erase. So those are my main tools over here. I am going to stick with the text box for the moment. I guess you can also mark up, which is like your free writing. So I'm going to do text box. I'm going to click here. I don't want to write in red. I'm going to write in purple. Okay, so what characteristics are common in angiosperms? Okay, so angiosperms are all flowering plants. So they are going to produce some kind of flower. And not all of them look like lilies and roses. They, like broccoli is a flower, so you definitely eat some flowers. Orchids are also edible. So all angiosperms are flowering plants. They're going to produce a flower. They also are going to produce a fruit. Now, not all fruits come in the form that you're thinking of. They're not all edible. So fruit could be like the little maple whirly twirly seedling that comes off of maple trees. And fruit, typical fruit that we eat, is going to also be included in this. Vegetables are a different story. Vegetables are other plant parts. So fruits very specifically are the ovary of a plant. So when you're enjoying that apple, you're actually enjoying an ovary. It is meant to be protective. It's also supposed to be attractive for somebody to eat it because the goal is to get those seeds into a bird or a squirrel or a bear and have those seeds travel through their digestive system. And like we learned earlier in the year, not all digestive systems are the same. So these seeds are going to be undigestible. They're going to pass through. And some seeds cannot germinate without having been digested and gone through that process and been exposed to some of those things. So the seeds are going to pass through the digestive system and get pooped out, hopefully far away from their parents, and hopefully be nourished by the nitrogen in that poop and be able to grow. So anything else that our angiosperms have? That's about it. All right. Oh, they're vascular. Good one. These are all vascular plants, meaning they can get bigger. They've got the xylem and the phloem. They have all this intense network of similar to our blood vessels that can transport nutrients. All right. Number 2, let's create a new text box. So I'm just going to click away from this one and click on text box again. Keep my same color and go over here. A topic emphasized in this clip is that not all fruits are sweet or even edible. Every plant that forms a flower must have a fruit. How would you define fruit? How can fruits be helpful in seed dispersal? Okay, so basically fruit is a plant's fertilized ovary. So the fruit is not going to develop until the egg has been fertilized, which means pollen has to enter the plant and make it down to the ovules and fertilize them. So fruit is a plant's fertilized ovary. The second part of this question is, how can fruits be helpful in seed dispersal? Fruits are often edible and sweet, which is going to be attractive to herbivores, which is attractive to consumers, we'll say. That's supposed to be an and. All right. And then once consumed, they get pooped out. So we can elaborate here, which is attractive to consumers who will eat the fruit and poop out the seeds far from the parent. All right. Thank God for spell check, right? Okay, that's a really good, long, thorough answer. Number 3, flowers can contain one or both genders or flower parts. This is true, so kind of interesting. I know as humans, we are very binary and we think only in terms of male and female, but in other animals and in plants, this we can have both parts. So let's get my text box going. A, if I look at A is right here. It is the fluffy part of my stamen. That fluffy part is called the anther, and it's covered in pollen. B is the other part of my stamen. It's called the filament, and it is kind of like an antenna. It's the stem for the anther. And then C is that whole structure together. That entire structure is going to be called the stamen, which is easy to remember because it has men in it. This is the male part. So pollen is basically the sperm of the plant. So that should make you feel a little bit differently about perhaps riding on your mom's car when it's covered in pollen. Over here we have some female parts. So let's label those. If I look at this D is the top, and this top, remember, has to be sticky so that the pollen will stick there. So sticky, and so that should lead me to remember it starts with an S. I've already used stamen, so this is the stigma. Stigma, and it is sticky so that it can hold on to that pollen. Now E is the style that is holding up the stigma. F is my ovary, and it's a very complicated organ. It has several ovules in it, which are the unfertilized eggs, and any one of them can be fertilized. G is this entire structure, which is going to be called your pistil. I think I'm going to double check that. Okay, yes, I want to make sure I'm spelling it right. It's pistil. Okay, so our all of these are, oh, I didn't answer that part. Over here, these are all the male parts. And these are the female parts. Just for the fun of it, to show you the free drawing tool. If you wanted to draw the symbol for male, it is, oh, I don't want a text highlighter. I just want a free draw. Well, here we go. I could say male is the circle that has the arrow pointing off of it, which is the symbol for Volvo cars. And then the female is the circle with the cross coming down. All right, so hopefully you're getting all these right. Keep going. Pictures are in order, but it's your turn to briefly narrate pollination and fertilization using these pictures. You must use all of these words. Okay, so I need to make sure that I'm using these words. Cross the words off to help you keep track. Okay, so I need to say pollinator, seed, ovary, ovule, zygote, double fertilization, sperm cells, stigma, pollen, anther, pollen tube, endosperm, and fruit. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here we go. Let's very briefly talk about what's happening in this picture. We have the bee is a pollinator. That's one of my words, right? So I'm going to put it in bold. He will carry pollen. So there, I used pollen. From the anther of one flower to the stigma of another. Okay, I'm going to cross out my words because it's going to make me feel better about myself that I'm using them because it looks like so many. I've used pollen, anther, stigma, pollinator. Okay. I'm going to pause while I come up with my whole sentence just to save time. Okay, I'm back with my answers. So in the first picture, we have him pollinating, and we have used pollinator, anther, and stigma. In the second picture, we have the pollen tube germination. My brief description says that once attached to the stigma, a pollen tube is going to form and work its way down the style, which is carrying the sperm cell to an ovule. So more than one sperm cell can get in here and fertilize each of these ovules. And ovules are stored in the ovary, which is this entire structure, and this is what's going to develop into a fruit. What's happening here with fertilization is that the sperm cells are going to reach the ovule, and in a process that we call double fertilization, thus we have two sperms, and one is going to join with the egg and turn into a zygote, while the other joins with those polar nuclei and forms the endosperm, which becomes the food or like the cotyledons within our seeds. So I think I used all my words. This is very in-depth. As long as you understand that the flowers are the reproductive parts of a plant and you could label these pieces on a drawing, you are good to go. All right, I hope this helped, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.